Alright YouTube, this is a 92 F-150. I just got done doing a alternator swap on it. Going from the 2G alternator to the 3G. Now, this is one plug on the wire harness I replaced. Didn't have to. Being 30 years old, did it anyways. And this is pretty much your power, and your I think it's your stator wire goes to these, but I'll show you. It's under the hood right now. But yeah, so from the factory stock, this was 75 amps. And what I did, you can't just go up to the next year like 94 or 95 F150, because the mounting points are completely different. So like on this alternator, it sits in the truck just like this. So here's your bottom bolt hole, here's your top. Well, on the other styles, 94, 95, 96, it's two holes on the top, and I think there's two on the bottom, or it's one on the bottom, or two on the bottom, one on the top. Either way, you can't just go get that next generation that has that alternator in there. And even if you did and you got the bracket that mounted in with it, I think it's 95 amps in the trucks if you go to like O'Reilly's or AutoZone. So what I did was I went to the parts store and I got a 95 Mustang GT alternator. It's 130 amps and it mounts in just like that one. It's got the one hole on the top and then the one hole on the bottom. But with the bracket, you do have to clearance it. So this bigger housing alternator will fit in there. It's not too bad. You should be able to see it right back in there, maybe. But I chopped off a lot. I didn't even chop it. I used a flat disc grinder and ground it away. Just kind of made it even with it all. And it bolts right in. Now on my truck, I already took off the air pump, or what do you want to call it. So with the belt, I ran it the same exact way, just dodged the air pump. Since it's not on there, you have to get a smaller belt. Well, I got an 89 and I think it was 3/4 size belt. Fits perfect. Now with these alternators, I forget what website I've seen it on. They do aftermarket alternators for this and everything. Bolts in, 130 amp, but they're like $300. They give you a power cable and everything with a fuse fuse with it, with an inline fuse. But I didn't want to spend $400 for that. Go to a parts store, get a $100 alternator, buy 4-gauge wire. I did a positive and ground terminal wire going to the battery, just because I did paint that bracket, so I wanted to make sure the alternator was being grounded. And with the Mustang alternators, it's actually pretty nice. On the back of them, if I can get it, they have a little threaded hole. It is, I can't remember if it's a heater core hose holder, like a bolt goes in there with a bracket, holds the heater core. But I just used that to mount my negative ground wire, just to make sure it was all grounded down and everything. And with this, I just ran it straight to the battery. Might as well, it's the best way. And with the other side of things, with the plugs, now this is the one I replaced. I just got duct tape over it. I'm gonna redo it with wire. I just did it so I could start it and make sure it worked. Spliced it in, and it plugs in exactly the same way. And then there's the stator wire that was on the other one that goes to the 3. That was a little different. So these two wires right here, these are the other two, the power wires. I put them in a loop or whatever, eyelet, bolt, crimp, whatever you want to call it. Now the websites I seen that they were selling these kits were still using those, but also running a 4-gauge battery terminal wire with a 200 amp fuse. And that is key, because even though you have a 130 amp alternator, they do get up sometimes at peak to 167. So you want a 200 amp fuse. And I just ran it just right where the other battery wires go to, so it works perfect. Unfortunately, I don't know. I just got to do some tidying up with the wires, like I make that look a little neater. Get in here and tape it up and throw. I actually do have some wire loom on here, but I'll move it up so it hides some of this a little better. Like get it up to here or something, so these are covered more. I think. Oh yeah, this tape's just on here for the stator wire. Because the stator wire, pretty sure that's what it is. It's this white wire right here in the middle. It loops around and comes back and goes right back into the alternator. So technically I don't even need that taped in right here. I'm just trying to make it a little cleaner look. But yeah, I think I have the paperwork that it's a 130 amp alternator, but it gets up to 167 amps. Watch out. Oh, here's the serpentine belt. The part number and everything. Oh, it was 88 inches and 7/8 outside circumference. That's what I used, and part number right there on the front. Works perfect. Nope. I had the paper. Not sure what I did. Oh, it's actually right here. Yeah. So because I bought it, and it says it's 12 volt, 130 amp, right? But where was it at? Max alternator output, 164 amps. If you use like a 150 amp fuse, you're gonna blow that if you get up to that max output. So that's one thing you want to think about when you get an alternator. Find out what the max is, because you could go bigger than 130 amps. I just wanted to go upgrade from the original 75 amps in this truck, especially since I put the moon visor up there with the lights. Like, I mean, I know they're LEDs, so they're not drawing that much power. But when I originally would drive the truck and turn the AC on during the winter, or not during the winter, during the summer, with my lights on at night, you could see the voltage meter drop pretty good. I just wanted to ensure that I would never have any problems like that, and if I ever add anything else to the vehicle that's going to be drawing a lot of power. Like, I have some plans later on. Like, I'm going to replace these mirrors. Obviously they're crusty, so I should. Now, I know a lot of people don't like it, but I'm thinking GM style mirrors right here with the little kit, the metal fab kit, welded in, put them on. I want to get the ones with the lights on them, with they have the marker lights that shoot down to the ground when you open your door. Because that's, I mean, that's good at night. If you're not even in the driveway, you're in the woods, you'll see a log or something, you don't want to twist your ankle. I just like that. And they also have the turn signals built in. That's more electrical. That's going to be running, going to be drawn from the battery. So I figured might as well just upgrade the alternator. Like, I wanted to anyways, because that old fuse, or not old fuse, the old wire, this one on the top, they have a problem with catching fire, being old and corroded. The plugs just go to shit. So I figured I might as well just upgrade, have a better alternator in there. If I'm upgrading, I might as well just do more amps. But I have some other plans. Like, there's a lot of stuff you could always do. But like with my truck, See how there's that line or that recess right there? It's not much. It's maybe like, I don't know, 3/8 recess in the metal. It runs almost the whole length of the bed. I'm gonna eventually get some cutouts and like recess some lights in there that point them down towards the bed. So I'll have a switch, so at night or something, I'm working on my truck or I'm going hunting. I got stuff in the bed and I want to see it. I'm gonna have 3 of them, one towards the back, one towards the front, one in the middle on each side. That's just more stupid stuff I want to do eventually. It's long down the road. Eventually I'll put a lift on it, but yeah, I think next thing I'm gonna do electrical wise is get the mirrors. And this is one thing, I don't know if I showed anyone yet. I replaced the seal on the window. They were so corroded and chipped and broken. I think I actually lost the ones on this side because they were so bad. I haven't done the other side yet. They're actually sitting up there on the dash. And then I want to do something with the inside because these lights are not very bright. I have swapped them out to LEDs, but at night you're not getting much light in here. I know it's stupid little things. It's like, well, you're not going to be using all that power all the time, so why even upgrade? Why not? If you can do it for 100, like my alternator is going out anyways. During the winter, I'd have to hit it with the tire iron because it squeal and lock up, and I hit it a few times, it would work. I needed to replace it anyways. Might as well go bigger. It just made sense in my eyes. Yeah, I think next I'm gonna do the mirrors on here. I had to get those brackets. I can't remember how much they cost. I think they're like $200 or $300. And then a set of GM style mirrors. I'm not gonna go out and just go buy a set of GM mirrors. I'll get aftermarket kits that got the nice lights in them and switchbacks and all that stuff. That's what I want to do. So it's GM style, but it's not a GM mirror. And I think eventually I'm gonna do a radiator swap because I don't use the trans cooler in this radiator anymore. I actually have one hooked up in the front. It might be a little hard to see. It's from, I think, I can't remember what year, but it's from an Excursion. It's bigger hose line and everything. I put that in because I replaced the transmission in here, blew it, and it was cheaper to buy a transmission than to actually get it rebuilt. Now I was in the middle of doing all that, and I had someone that had one, so I threw that in. So the trans cooler inside the radiator, it's useless at this point. Unless I wanted to convert it to an oil cooler or something stupid like that. Don't see the need for that, so I'm not going to do that. But I'll swap out the radiator at some point and then do electric fans and get rid of the mechanical fan. I think that'd just be cleaner look in here. It would probably add horsepower by what? 1 horse if it adds any, because you ain't got the fan putting restriction on the water pump. I'll run a little smoother. But that's it for now. Just a stupid little alternator update. No, don't touch that. Yeah, sorry. My daughter's in here bugging me, grabbing everything she can. Tools, parts, nuts, bolts. She's just, stuff. Alright, so that's it. Alternator update. It's actually pretty easy to do a alternator swap on these trucks. Ground down a little spot on the bracket, replace a plug. And you don't have to run those power wires that go to the starter solenoid. You don't have to. You could just take them out and get rid of them. That's what a lot of people do. I did it so if I ever blew that fuse, I'm not stranded. Say it's 2 o'clock in the morning. With how things are right now, Walmart's not open. You can't really get a lot of stuff. Not too many places are open, so might be a little difficult to buy a fuse. that late in the day. So I left that. So if I ever did blow the fuse, I'm still getting power to the solenoid and it's still charging the battery. That way I'm not just completely stranded. Now I could have just not even did the inline fuse, but I just wanted to make sure there was that little bit of protection, so there was no anything, you know, fire, anything like that. You never know what could happen. You're doing engine work on a vehicle and you're replacing wires and you might not do it right, or oh hey, this truck isn't supposed to have a 130 amp alternator, it's supposed to have a 75 amp alternator. You're doing stuff you're not supposed to be doing to these from what they say from the factory. So I inline fuse, left the old wire. Now since the power is being essentially going through, well, I guess technically 3 wires, but 2 sets of wires, that I don't even know what size gauge that is. It's pretty small. It's going through that, and then it's going through that thick 4 gauge wire to that starter solenoid. Don't get me wrong, it's not a long distance. It'd probably be fine with that, but better safe than sorry. Throw that. Like I paid $20 for both those wires, for the positive and negative 4 gauge wire, and I think I paid $10 for the inline fuse. Not much whatsoever. So I'm actually gonna end the video now. I know I keep saying, oh, this is it, that's it. I keep going. This is it. See you guys next time.